Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The notification lit up the dark dressing room like a flare signaling imminent disaster. One vibration, then a second, then a cascade that turned the phone in Lucien's hand into a buzzing, frantic animal. Trending topic number 1. Hashtag Lukai is real. Trending topic number 2. The kiss that broke the server. Trending topic number 3. Lucien's gaze. Lucien stared at the screen, his reflection caught in the glass. Pale, exquisitely made up, with eyes that held the terrified wideness of a deer hearing a twig snap in a forest occupied by a single, starving wolf. It was a variety show. Just a game. The script had called for him to pass a card to Kai, the industry's newest golden boy, using only his lips. The card had slipped. For a fraction of a second, their lips had brushed. It was an accident. The producers knew it. The audience knew it. But he didn't care about the audience. The door to the dressing room swung open, not with a slam, but with a terrifyingly gentle creak. Lucien's manager, a frantic woman named Sarah, stood there, her face drained of blood. She held her own phone out, her hand trembling. He saw it, she whispered, the words choking her. Mr. Thorne saw the live stream. The air in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Julian Thorne, the CEO of Thorne Entertainment, the shadow emperor of the media world, and the man who held the deed to Lucien's soul in an ironclad, diamond-encrusted safe. Where is he? Lucien asked, his voice barely audible over the thumping of his own heart. He's not in his office, Sarah said, swallowing hard. He's in the car. Outside. He sent the black Maybach. Lucien stood up. His legs felt like lead, weighted down by the invisible chains he had willingly donned 3 years ago. He smoothed the front of his white silk shirt, the fabric feeling like a shroud. Don't come with me, he said, staring at the mirror one last time. If I'm not back by morning, cancel the shoot. The rain battered the windows of the Maybach, isolating the interior from the neon chaos of the city. The partition was up. The driver was silent. Lucien sat in the back, the leather cold against his palms. He didn't check his phone again. He didn't need to. He could feel the gravity shifting, the world tilting on its axis as the car glided away from the studio and toward the obsidian spire that dominated the skyline, the apex. Julian's penthouse wasn't a home. It was a fortress of solitude suspended in the clouds. When the elevator doors slid open, the silence that greeted him was heavy, smelling of expensive sandalwood and the metallic tang of ozone. The living area was vast, dimly lit by the city glow filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows. Julian was there. He stood by the glass, his back to Lucien. He was wearing a black dress shirt, the sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that looked like they were carved from marble. In one hand, he held a crystal tumbler of amber liquid. In the other, a tablet. Lucien took a step forward, the sound of his dress shoes swallowed by the plush carpet. Julian. The man didn't turn. He took a slow sip of his drink, the ice clinking, a sharp, violent sound in the quiet. 7 million views in 30 minutes, Julian said. His voice was a low baritone, smooth as velvet but carrying the dark resonance of a cello played in a crypt. They are calling it the romance of the century. It was a game, Lucien said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The card slipped. It meant nothing. Julian turned then. The air left Lucien's lungs. Julian Thorne was a man of terrifying beauty, sharp cheekbones, a jawline that could cut glass, and eyes the color of a stormy sea, dark and turbulent. But it was the coldness in them that froze Lucien in place. It wasn't anger. Anger was hot. Anger was human. This was possession. This was the look a dragon gave a thief who touched its gold. Nothing, Julian repeated, walking slowly toward him. He moved with the predatory grace of a panther stalking prey. You let him touch you. You let him breathe your air. You let the world imagine him claiming you. I am an actor, Julian, Lucien pleaded, backing up until his legs hit the edge of the sprawling velvet sofa. It's my job. You own the agency. You approve the schedule. I approved you to work, Julian said, stopping inches from him. He towered over Lucien, his scent, tobacco, rain, and danger, enveloping the younger man. I did not approve you to become public property. Julian tossed the tablet onto the sofa. On the screen, paused in high definition, was the moment of the slip. Kai's hand was on the back of Lucien's neck. It looked intimate. It looked real. Look at it, Julian commanded. I was there, I don't need to. Look at it. The shout cracked the air like a whip. Lucien flinched, his eyes darting to the screen. Do you know what I see? Julian whispered, leaning down, his lips brushing the shell of Lucien's ear. I see a mistake. I see a flaw in my collection. I see someone forgetting who pulled them out of the gutter. Lucien's breath hitched. I haven't forgotten. Haven't you? Julian's hand shot out, wrapping around Lucien's throat. It wasn't enough to choke, but enough to hold, to control, to remind him of the difference in their strength. He pushed, and Lucien fell back onto the sofa, the soft velvet catching him. Before Lucien could scramble up, Julian was over him. He pinned Lucien's wrist above his head with one large hand, his grip like a steel shackle. He settled his weight between Lucien's legs, pressing him down into the cushions. The position was compromising, humiliating, and electric. Julian, please, Lucien gasped, staring up into those dark, abyss-like eyes. Please what? Julian murmured. He lowered his head, his nose brushing against Lucien's neck, inhaling deeply. Please stop? Please let you go back to him? Or please, remind you who you belong to. Lucien trembled. This was the dance they had done for years. The push and pull. The monster and the marionette. But tonight, the monster was hungry. You are mine, Julian hissed against his skin. Your breath. Your skin. Your reputation. Even the thoughts in your pretty little head. They are mine. I know. Lucien whispered, a tear escaping the corner of his eye. Julian pulled back, looking at the tear. He didn't wipe it away. He watched it fall, fascinated by the display of vulnerability. You humiliated me, Lucien. You made me feel jealous. Do you know how much I loathe that emotion? It's a weakness. And you made me weak. I didn't mean to. Intent is irrelevant. Consequences are absolute. Julian released Lucien's wrists, only to grab his chin, forcing him to look up. My CP with other male stars went viral. Julian mocked, his voice dripping with venomous sarcasm. And now the world thinks you are available. He leaned in closer, his dark eyes narrowing until Lucien felt like he was being dissected. Baby, Julian whispered, the endearment sounding more like a threat than a caress. How should I punish you? The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Lucien knew the answer wasn't simple. Julian didn't hit. He didn't leave marks that makeup couldn't cover. His punishments were psychological. They were intricate games of control designed to strip Lucien of his autonomy until he was begging to be directed. Don't cancel the drama, Lucien said, his voice barely a rasp. That was his greatest fear, Julian destroying his career, locking him away in this gilded cage forever. Julian smiled, a cold, humorless curve of his lips. The drama? Oh, darling, I'm not going to cancel the drama. I'm going to ruin it for you. He stood up, adjusting his cuffs, instantly transforming from a predator back into the icy CEO. Get up. Go to the bedroom. Strip. And wait. Lucien lay on the couch for a moment, his chest heaving, the ghost of Julian's weight still pressing on him. He knew better than to disobey. He rose, his legs shaking, and walked toward the master bedroom. The punishment was silence. For 3 days, Julian didn't speak to him. He came home, slept in the same bed, ate at the same table, but he looked through Lucien as if he were a ghost. He took away Lucien's phone. He disconnected the internet. Lucien was cut off from the world, trapped in the penthouse with a man who treated him like furniture. It was maddening. Lucien found himself craving even a harsh word, a glare, anything to acknowledge his existence. On the 4th day, a box arrived. It was placed on the bed. Inside was a suit. Not the white, ethereal style Lucien usually wore to play up his innocent idol image. This was black velvet, structured, with a deep neckline and a choker made of black diamonds. A note sat on top of the fabric. Asterisk tonight. The gala. Where this. Asterisk Lucien dressed with trembling hands. The suit fit like a second skin. It was beautiful, but it was a brand. It was Julian's taste, Julian's style. When he looked in the mirror, he didn't see the rising star Lucien. He saw Julian Thorne's consort. When he walked out, Julian was waiting. He wore a matching tuxedo, sharp and intimidating. He looked at Lucien, his eyes sweeping over him with critical possessiveness. He reached out, adjusting the diamond choker, his fingers lingering on Lucien's pulse point. Better, Julien said softly. Now everyone will know. Know what? Lucien asked. That you are not a free bird to be captured, Julien said, offering his arm. You are a hawk that has already been tamed. The charity gala was a shark tank filled with glitter. Cameras flashed like lightning storms, blinding and relentless. As soon as the limousine door opened, the screaming started. Lucien! Lucien! But the screams faltered when Julien Thorne stepped out first. The hush that fell over the red carpet was immediate. Julien didn't walk red carpets. He owned the companies that built them. He reached a hand back, and Lucien took it, stepping out into the lights. Julien didn't let go. He didn't use the polite, professional hover hand. He interlaced their fingers, a gesture so intimate and possessive it sent a shockwave through the crowd. They walked the gauntlet. Reporters shouted questions, but Julien's gaze silenced them. He guided Lucien with a firm hand on the small of his back, steering him through the sea of celebrities. Inside the ballroom, the atmosphere was stifling. Lucien felt eyes on him from every angle. And then he saw him. Kai. The co-star from the viral video was standing near the champagne tower, looking nervous. He spotted Lucien and offered a tentative, hopeful smile, taking a step forward. Julien's hand tightened on Lucien's waist. It wasn't painful, but it was a warning. Go say hello, Julien whispered. Lucien looked at him, startled. What? Go. Speak to him. Let's see if he still wants you when he sees who holds the leash. Lucien swallowed hard. He walked toward Kai, feeling Julien's gaze burning a hole in his back. Lucien, Kai said, looking relieved. I haven't heard from you. My agency said things were complicated. Is everything okay? Lucien looked at Kai. Young, hopeful, uncomplicated. Then he felt the weight of the black diamonds around his throat. I'm fine, Kai. Just busy. About the video, Kai started, stepping closer. I wanted to say, I didn't mind the rumors. Actually, I kind of hoped. He reached out to touch Lucien's arm. Before his fingers could make contact, a shadow fell over them. Mr. West, Julien's voice was smooth, polite, and absolutely terrifying. Kai froze, his hand retracting as if he'd touched a hot stove. Mr. Thorne. Sir. Julien didn't look at Kai. He looked at Lucien. He reached out and brushed a stray lock of hair from Lucien's forehead, his touch lingering on his cheek. Darling, the chairman of Omnicorp is waiting to meet you. We shouldn't keep him. He turned his eyes to Kai then. The look was dead. I enjoyed your little performance on the show, Mr. West. You have talent. It would be a shame if you overextended yourself and lost your footing in the industry. The threat was clear. Touch him again, and I will erase you. Kai paled. I understand, sir. Excuse me. He bolted, disappearing into the crowd. Lucien watched him go, feeling a strange mixture of relief and despair. He looked up at Julien. Was that necessary? He needed to learn his place, Julien said, sliding his arm around Lucien's waist again, pulling him flush against his side. And so did you. The music started. A waltz. Dance with me, Julien commanded. It wasn't a question. They moved to the center of the floor. Julien led with effortless power. Lucien followed, his body reacting instinctively to Julien's cues. They spun, the black velvet of their suits blending together. Everyone is staring, Lucien whispered, his face burning. Let them, Julien said, pulling him closer than was socially acceptable. Let them see the viral star and his master. Let them write their articles. Tomorrow, the headlines won't be about #Lukai. They will be about us. You're ruining my reputation as a single idol, Lucien murmured, though his hand clutched Julien's shoulder tighter. I'm giving you a legend, Julien corrected. He dipped Lucien, holding him suspended over the floor. The world blurred. All Lucien could see was Julien's face, the dark eyes now burning with a strange, twisted affection. You asked for mercy, Julien whispered for only them to hear. This is it. I'm not locking you in the tower. I'm standing beside you at the gates. But make no mistake. He pulled Lucien back up, chest to chest. If you ever let another man touch you like that, I won't just pin you down on a sofa. I will chain you to my bed until you forget the sun. Lucien shivered. It was a threat, a promise, and a declaration of love, all wrapped in a toxic, beautiful package. He looked at the man who had bought his debts, built his career, and stolen his heart. He realized then that he didn't want to run. The cage was safe. The monster was his. Lucien leaned in, his lips brushing Julian's jaw, shocking the CO into a momentary stillness. "Then take me home," Lucien whispered, his voice low and sultry, surrendering to the darkness. "And show me exactly how much you missed me." Julian's eyes flared. The coldness shattered, replaced by a raw, consuming heat. He stopped dancing, ignoring the music, the crowd, and the cameras. "As you wish," Julian growled. He grabbed Lucien's hand and dragged him off the floor, leaving the gala, the rumors, and the world behind them. The punishment was over. The reward was just beginning. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf, proving that in the game of love and power, the one who holds the leash always wins. If you enjoyed seeing Julian take absolute control and destroy the competition, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a partner who threatened your co-star out of jealousy, or is that a deal breaker? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then,